Have you ever found yourself standing at the edge of something new, something exciting, and yet it's also absolutely terrifying to you? You're staring at this possible future version or vision of yourself, and instead of feeling brave or bold, you just feel stuck. Or you want to go for it, but you aren't sure you should, and you have a long list of reasons why you shouldn't. Hello, I'm David Zahn, founder of OK Now What and the creator of the Catapult to a Career in Coaching or Consulting program. And I know that feeling, frankly, all too well. And if you have ever watched a kid standing on the edge of a pool trying to decide if they can dive in and overcome their fear of the water, you've likely seen it firsthand yourself. A while ago, I was in the middle of a very sensible career. On paper, it made sense. It ticked all of the boxes. I loved a lot of it, actually, or at least I had loved it. But deep down, something was just not right. I'd catch myself daydreaming about other things that felt more like me. But then, just as quickly, that voice would show up, the one that says, "You're too far into this to change now," or "It's just too late." It was not even necessarily a loud voice, but it was persistent. And so, for a time, I remained. I stayed where I was, comfortable, predictable, and drained. Eventually, though, that voice just would not cease. It was unrelenting. The discomfort could not be ignored. I realized maybe this pain really wasn't a sign I was failing, but a sign it was time for something new, something braver, something that had an element of the unknown. I had to get past the thinking that I was so invested in the current career that I had spent years preparing for it: college, professional development sessions, further study, etc. My identity was tied up in my career, and I was quite proud of it. I would introduce myself at social functions by inserting my career with pride. The shift, as messy and at the same time as beautiful as it was, taught me some very powerful things. And I've gathered them into these 5 lessons I want to share with you, because frankly, I wish somebody would have shared it with me sooner and saved me from the many days of indigestion and nights doubting myself. So, if you're thinking of making a change, be it personal or professional, I think you'll find these 5 lessons helpful. But before I share them, though, I want to emphasize that these are all within your control. You do not need to rely on anyone else to offer it to you. So let's get to it. Lesson number 1: your purpose has not changed. Your assignment did. In our very busy lives, we sometimes confuse what we do with who we are. Remember, they are not one and the same. Your purpose or your reason for being is not being changed or challenged. It's only being directed toward a new outlet. The feeling of discomfort you'll experience is not a crisis at all. In fact, it's a calling, a request to be awakened and met. Lesson number 2: you're not restarting, you are restating. You're building on everything you've accomplished and are channeling it more productively and being truer to your purpose. Rather than view it as going back to square one, recognize you're only rearranging the pieces in a new way. This is not being an expert at card games and now being expected to perform as a plumber. Rather, it's seeing skills as Lego blocks, and you are taking what you have previously worked hard to build and creating something new with it. There's nothing being discarded or wasted, and you are not at the starting line as a beginner having to learn your way. You are an expert continuing to evolve. Lesson number 3. It's not too late, it's too comfortable. And I know you've been at your job perhaps for decades, and so you've begun to rationalize that for better or for worse, you're stuck in this role. So you've resigned yourself to fondly remembering how exciting it once was, but is no longer the same. What once may have been exciting and challenging is now just a job you do well, and so you question why you should consider leaving. Well, if you really assess what your innermost thoughts are, you may find it's really based on a fear. You are scared of being uncomfortable. That sense of awkwardness, not being certain, unable to predict what will happen is not comfortable. At least in this job, as miserable as it feels, you're comfortable in your misery. But then again, why are you choosing to be miserable? Lesson number 4, if your job is in conflict with your values, it will cause internal strife. That dissonance may appear as emotion or mood swings, varying medical conditions, fatigue, or other behavioral outcomes. What we're talking about is sometimes referred to as burnout. And sure, we often associate that word with being overly busy, but it is just as often seen as a result of being in the wrong place, doing the wrong things for the wrong people. If your work does not reflect your innermost cares and values, no amount of recognition, awards, or prizes will exceed that feeling of misalignment. The cost of staying in a job that is in conflict with your true self is incalculable. Lesson number 5 and our final one. Clarity is the result of action. Before you become overwhelmed about needing to produce a 5-year plan and producing charts and graphs and line diagrams in Excel, plotting out every decision and move, stop. You only need your next step. The more you'll allow inertia to get you moving toward a goal, the easier it is to get there. Once you are in motion, it's easier to change directions, course correct, and make necessary modifications. So, as we conclude, what is one action you can take to create a forward progress and momentum to initiate a change you seek? And I recognize change can be challenging, often exacerbated when those around you have told you, or maybe you've told yourself, that you're too old, too ill-prepared, too late for the change, it's too risky, or some other similar thoughts that's standing in your way. You do not have to remain stuck. If it's not meeting your needs or working for you, move. Growth is not something you need to be given permission to seek. And starting anew is not failure. It's a sign of bravery and recognition that things are not as they could or should be for you. I'd like to further discuss this with you and give you some help as you think about making a transition from your current role to a new one. Let's talk. Simply schedule a meeting with me at the oknowwhat.biz/calendar, and together we'll make it happen for you.